Hi friend, welcome back to Freedom Practice with Jen. I'm Jenn Wallace. I'm really glad you're here. I think we have about 50 people practicing with us now, and be sure to forward this to people you think might be interested. They could also just go to YouTube and look for Freedom Practice with Jen, and they could subscribe that way too. So lots of ways to get connected here into these practices. I'm outdoors for a reason today, and so you might hear some noises and whatever. Letting it be messy, um, keeping it real. That's the whole point of these practices, is to be able to be with whatever life offers us and stay connected to ourselves. So I hope you got some good insight from your practice last week and practice letting it be messy, letting it be real, and staying connected to yourself and opening to the gifts, because there's a lot of gifts in the messiness. But it does take practice to not get swallowed by the messiness. And so staying connected to your breath, being present, opening your heart. Yep, it's a practice. And when we do that, it's my experience that we connect with our true nature and we can live lives true to who we are, and that's our freedom. That's our freedom. And it's for us to claim and live. So I hope you have your journal and your pen with you, and you're free of distractions. And remember, you can stop the video whenever you want. If you need to pause, just make it work for you. It's my hope that you are making these practices your practices. These are my ways that I'm sharing with you that help me claim my freedom and keep myself free from suffering and limitations. But I hope that you are coming up with your own ways. Okay, make it work for you. All right. So I'm going to begin, as I always do, with slowing everything down. So I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to lengthen my spine, open the chest, really soften in the body, and just take a few slow, nourishing breaths in the nose. Just any way you want to exhale. It's always in the nose. And just soften the body. Release. Inhaling. Just extending that exhale, softening and releasing. Just keep those slow breaths going. Yeah. And they just really help us land. They land in ourselves and what I believe is our true nature. This is our true nature, to be in this calm, grounded state. We may not always stay there, but we have the ability to always come back to that. So keep practicing that. And this slowing down and the breath, should be incorporated into every practice. Staying present. Okay. So this week's practice is titled, Let's Nurture Ourselves, Align with Nature, and Bloom. And that's why I'm in nature today. Bloom just means self-expression. Your fullest expression of who you are. And I like to use, the metaphor of the flowering plant when I talk about this nurturing practice. A plant needs to root down into the soil, take in nutrients, take in water, needs to have sunlight, needs to have the bees coming in and pollinating, it needs space, and we need things too so that we can nurture ourselves and be nurtured. And so we have, the ability to make decisions about what nurtures us. And so this is the practice this week, is to really step into getting curious first, bringing awareness. Okay, what am I feeding myself? What am I allowing in? What am I taking in? And if it's not feeling nurturing, then you can say, well, what would be more nurturing for me? What would feel more nurturing? And try to step into making, whatever changes need to be made. And please don't feel like everything needs to be changed in a week. That we need to do these giant changes because that's stressful on us. And this is about freedom practice, right? So we just bring awareness, what's feeling like freedom to us, what's feeling nurturing to us, and what's not feeling nurturing. Okay, so get awareness and then take those turtle steps. Just take those turtle steps. So that's that part of the practice. The other part is to get out in nature. We are mammals. We live on planet Earth. We are part of nature. And I truly believe that, we have this sacred connection with nature, and it's very restorative, it's healing. And so when we're nurturing ourselves to get out in nature, we nurture ourselves. And, the medical community is really recognizing this as well, because doctors are now prescribing that people get out in nature. And they have healthcare practitioners that lead people that are going through healing out in these nature experiences, and they're laying down on the earth, they're leaning against trees, they're doing, just all different kinds of things like that to connect with the earth and heal. And, if you're a gardener or anything like that, get in the soil, get out there. We're all in nature at times, but this practice this week is about really being intentional and mindful about getting into nature and nurturing ourselves. Okay, so that is the practice. And, it's under that big umbrella of self-care. You probably hear people use that word a lot. And we're all kind of, I think, really depleted and fatigued after, this year of pandemic and, just the turmoil in our country. And we're all a little depleted. So now is the time for us to really strengthen ourselves and take care of ourselves, because the world is never going to be the same, and we're not going to be the same. So we need to really be fully who we are so we can create this new world, the new normal that we're stepping into, and be intentional about it. Okay, so the messaging out there might be, well, especially for women, if you're taking too much care of yourself, if you're too focused on yourself, that's selfish. And I truly believe that, that is, the opposite is really true. Women are the nurturers of the world. We bring, new life into the world. And so it's a natural thing for us to do. But I don't believe that we have to deplete ourselves and drain the life force out of us in order to help others and be there for others. But we have to take care of ourselves first in the ways that are most meaningful. And I'm so thankful for the airline industry for coming up with that phrase, please put your oxygen mask on first before you help others. There it is. That's the truth that really resonates with me. But, I want to do more than just put my oxygen mask on and survive. I want to thrive. And I hope you want to join me in that. And we can. So that is the practice. It is, really looking, how can we nurture ourselves? What are we taking in? Getting curious, aligning with nature, getting out in nature and being meaningful, having a meaningful connection. Maybe it's just going outside and just stopping and breathing and listening to the birds, feeling your feet under the, on the earth, go out and get barefoot. It could be simple things, but have a meaningful connection with nature. So here's how I've practiced it. I think you might agree that right now everybody in the world is having a hard time sleeping. I think our nervous systems are just very activated. We're energetic beings. We are energy. So there's all this turmoil, and I think people are having trouble sleeping, and myself was included in that. And so I started thinking, well, how could I help myself? How can I nurture myself more and get sleep? Because sleep is very important. It's a very important practice, you know, and restorative practice. We repair ourselves, you know, from the day's activities when we sleep. So I started looking at what I was taking in, and I was sometimes watching the news or watching a movie that had a lot of stimulation to it. You know, so I stopped that a couple hours now. Before I go to bed, I don't take in any media or anything like that. I do things that are nurturing. You know, spend time with my husband, I read, I journal, I look at photo albums. I just do whatever, take a bubble bath, you know. So, and it's helped my sleep greatly. I'm getting much better sleep. So we do have choices about how to nurture ourselves. You know, we're not just victims of what's going on around us. We can choose to nurture ourselves. You know, I grew up as kind of a people pleaser kid, learned how to do that. And I came to a point in my life, you know, where I was fearful about being honest with people about myself. And eventually I developed some pretty severe stomach issues and anxiety issues. And the body just said no more. And the body will do that because the body knows, you know, it can't sustain itself with this kind of, you know, fake living that we thrust upon ourselves. And so I kind of had a crash and burn moment, and I started being more honest. And as I started to embrace that and took those baby steps, I got healthier. Those symptoms went away. So that's another example of, you know how important sleep is to us, but also the stories I was feeding myself. Okay. So those are a couple of examples, and I also want to read from Mark Nepo, my favorite book of awakening, and this is page 18, and he says, it's called I Say Yes When I Mean No, and Naomi Nye put this little poem underneath. It says, I say yes when I mean no, and the wrinkle grows. Mark Nepo says, there have been many times that I said yes when I meant no, afraid of displeasing others and even more afraid of being viewed as selfish. I think the first time I decided to get married, I said yes when I meant no. Young and inexperienced in being myself, I agreed to be a fish out of water for as long as I could, so as not to hurt or disappoint or displease. Not surprisingly, it all ended badly. And how many times, once trained in self-sacrifice, do we have the opposite conversation with ourselves? Our passion for life saying yes, 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 and our practical guardedness saying don't be foolish, don't be realistic, don't leave yourself unprotected. But long enough on the journey, we come to realize an even deeper aspect of all of this, that those who truly love us will never knowingly ask us to be other than what we are. The unwavering truth is that when we agree to any demand, request, or condition, that is contrary to our soul's nature. The cost that is precious, the cost is that precious life force is drained off our core. Despite the seeming rewards of compliance, our souls grow weary by engaging in activities that are inherently against their nature. Love that. Love his words. Okay. So let's do some freestyle journaling. And this is where you don't have any rules about what needs to come across the page. You just keep the pen moving. I give you the prompts. And this is that deep conversation with yourself. You just, whatever's there, you let it flow. Unzip your jeans, let your belly hang out, so to speak. And if you don't know what to say, just keep repeating the prompt, okay? It's always there. The words will come once you stop analyzing what you're writing. And a lot of you have said you're really enjoying journaling now because of the lack of rules about it, okay? So here's the prompt. What am I feeding myself? What am I feeding myself? What am I taking in? What am I allowing? Okay? This is how I nurture myself. This is how I nurture myself. It would feel more nurturing too. It would feel more nurturing too. Okay? So those are the prompts. And you're going to pause this video and write for 5 to 10 minutes, whatever works for you. And I will see you in just a few minutes. See you soon. Okay, you're back. So keep turning to these practices, this journaling all week. Keep the conversation going. Expand into this. It's a very powerful practice. It's a freedom practice for sure. So I encourage you to keep doing that all week. Okay, now we're going to write the intention, and the intention statement is just, how am I going to show up this week? How am I going to practice this? Putting words into action, ideas into action. So here's a couple of intentions, a couple of ideas. I give myself permission to nurture myself. I put my oxygen mask on first. I'm aware of what feels nurturing. I'm aware of what feels nurturing. Yeah. I make decisions that are nurturing to who I am. Whatever fits there for you. Play around with it, journal about it, but you're going to keep coming back to that statement, that intention, and that's going to keep holding you on the path. When we get thrown off, just come back to that intention statement. Say, this is how I am intending to live and show up in my life. Okay? All right, so you have your practice. You know what to do. Nurture yourself, connect in nature, bloom, keep journaling, keep getting awareness about what you're taking in. What are you letting your mind tell you? You can always rewrite that script and start telling a different story, something that feels more true and nurturing, right? And then post your intention statement so you see it, you have it, and really expand this practice and make it work for you. We need you. We need you to show up fully in the world right now. It's important that you take care of yourself. Okay, be safe, be well, nurture, align with nature, and bloom. Namaste.